Hey, thanks for joining me for our next devlog. This one's going to be for the Mech Game. Uh, we smartly used our time working on this game to try out some other techniques that we'll be using in the other game. Melee combat is one, and just some stuff with enemies. I also played around with particle effects quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but you know, a bit. And we'll check all that stuff out as soon as I just do that. Alright, let's go take a look at everything we got going on. I'll go through the list. So why don't we start by talking about the drone enemy. I did that because, you know, I needed a simple enemy that didn't have complicated behavior. Ultimately, what I want is like space combat between like cool mechs, you know? So the enemy would have some, you would have your one. They would have all kinds of weapons and, you know, guns, missiles, like lock-on stuff, and swords and laser axes, whatever cool stuff. Pile bunker, cool stuff, right? So I wanted to do that, but I said for the first enemy, why don't I make something like really simple? It doesn't do much. And I did that. I completely rewrote the enemy code. If you remember in the last one, they were like, I think they just walked towards you and they tried to attack you. So in this one, I don't know, I just rewrote the whole thing. I did two kinds of behaviors, aggressive and passive. Yeah, just went and we wrote the whole thing. This part's written poorly. Don't do this. I just didn't know what I was going to do. But why I did this is interesting. I tried to vary the pitch each time the enemy took damage, right? So the idea was, if I was shooting it, you know, the pitch keeps going up. Whoa, explodes. That's awesome. That's a really cool, nice effect if you're the player. It's really good to experience that. It not only does it give you feedback on like how damaged the enemy is, but just it creates a little bit of variety in the audio, which I think is really cool. I didn't like the way it was sounding, like, and I don't know if it's because of the original sound effect I went with or what. So instead of doing that, I just went in the sound program and I made 10 different sound effects with the pitch done instead of trying to programmatically shift it. I will probably try that again at some point, try to get it right, but it just wasn't working. I don't know if it, like I said, I don't know if it was the sound I started with or what. It wasn't changing enough for my liking. There's also a weird bug in here where it's like at a certain threshold it doesn't sound right or doesn't make a sound. I don't know if that's still there. That might be gone. Let's talk about some of the like nodes and stuff that this thing uses. So I have, I guess one of the first things you'll notice, there's 3 animation players on here. So this one is the regular one that I used to actually change the animations. You see, I only got, let's make this big. I guess if I go to 2D mode, you can kind of see it. So we got the fire animation, which is the one, quick one shot, right? And then we just have move, right? And right now, one of these other animations is in the middle of playing. That's why it looks weird. So these animations I use, these are shader animations. So I put that separate so I can use the shader changes independently of what's going on. So if you zoom in a little here, if I can, so you can see what's happening a bit. The second part, I don't know if that's doing anything. I thought it might look cool. I think it does add a little something. Let me see. You can kind of see it adds a little nuance, I think, but I'm not sure if I'm imagining it. All right, so what all this is doing is it's saying turn the shader on, turn the shader off, turn the shader on, turn the shader off. And then at the same time, I'm going white, black, white, black. I think it ends up looking kind of cool. There's one for explode, This one I didn't use. And there's one for getting hit once. So getting hit once is a lot quicker. Exploding is a little longer and it loops, right? Okay, condition animations. I don't know if these are named super clearly, but I have, these are more just using the modulate property of the sprite up here, right? So what this does is it just kind of gives it a little glow. And then the explode one, I actually put the particle effects in here, right? From whatever, somewhere in this node. And then I'm putting sounds. And we are doing, are we calling any code? We are calling a function here at the end to destroy, which, you know, frees up the enemy from memory. So all the way at the end of the animation, I use this function to just kill it. I usually like doing things more like inside the function. But lately, I've just been really getting into using the animation player to trigger a bunch of functions. It seems to work really well. And it's easier to like time the sounds with the pictures, if that makes sense, right? So if you're doing something where your character's doing an attack or something, or he's exploding in this case, I find it easier to do it in here than to try to programmatically do it and be like, okay, so, you know, half a second, quarter, whatever, you know? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Stop exploding. If you never use them, that's what the reset animations are there for. They're really useful when you start doing weird stuff. We did like damage numbers. So like when you're playing an RPG, the number pops up. I just did that real quick. The enemy, of course, it takes damage based on what kind of attack is happening. It's all done with area 2Ds right now. So if an area 2D enters the hitbox, which is one of these nodes here, let's see. Oh, I'm on it. All right, so if it enters this hitbox, right, on, you know, 4 or 5, then it will detect what it is, what's the name of the area coming in, and it says, hey, this area is called, you know, sword or whatever. So, and then I will set the damage accordingly, and then we'll also pass that to, I have like a knockback value, which is not working perfectly right now when they're in some of their states. I don't know why I didn't have time to fix it for this video, because I wanted to keep things moving. But it controls how far they get pushed back. So I'll probably be able to mess with their behavior a bit to just show you how the knockback works. And then while we're on that, over here, character export values, that's what direction we're facing. I use that to do the animations, movement direction. Enemy state, I don't know, that's doing something, right? But that's not what I want to show you. Behavior mode here, I got aggressive or passive. So I can set that up on a map. So if I come to a map here, this is my test map in progress. It's not put together amazingly well, but enemy placement. So you can see all I do is I set it here, and then that kicks in on the enemy script for that individual drone. I went with drones because they're in the news, and I thought it was funny. And like I said, also I needed like a dumb basic enemy. I was originally gonna do just like a floating like turret thing. I was like, I might as well make some kind of weird UFO drone guy. Might not even keep that in the game. And this only like my second crack at the design. First thing I put like tentacles on it, try to make it like half biology monster, half machine, half man, half machine, half octopus, half machine. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't think it fit. So I went with this thing. Didn't want to spend too much time on it. Just like the first time that we worked on this game, I probably spent like at least a week and a half on just animations and messing with the art. Because, I don't know, that takes long to get it to where you like it. But I don't think I spent as long as last time. I think it turned out better too. I kept everything from the last time. I did mess with some little like constants somewhere to get the space to work right. So later we'll have the character go back. He'll drop back to Earth, and it'll be cool. What else? Is there anything interesting about the drone? It's particle effects. I'm using a couple of timers, so drone gunfire rate is between rounds, right? So you see it's a quarter of a second. It's a one-shot idle timer. And then I will have him do one shot, start the timer, and then, whatever the timer finishes, and then the next shot is available. That's how we're doing that. This is probably a delay to when he first starts shooting at you, because it would probably, it would kind of suck if as right away just lined up with you and started shooting, right? That's not a good experience for the player. Fire cooldown, I don't know. I don't know if that's being used right now. I guess it is. It probably is. Damage. I'm doing some ray casts for when to find if the player is in the line of the gun. The way I'm doing it, I don't think I'm doing it exactly right. The aim marker, I use that to position the bullets, and then I flip that depending on what way the drone is facing. I guess that's about it. Why don't we go take a look at the player, and I'll go over some of that stuff. Okay, so I went ahead and I deleted all those 12 or 13 drones we had, and I switched it to one aggressive drone. Now, what I want to show you here first is the shield. So when I have the shield R1 held, it negates whatever he's trying to do to me. If I release it, I should be able to take damage. You see there, I took damage. I'll probably put some kind of like life, either in seconds or in actual health, on this shield. I can shoot from various angles. I can 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And this is hold L1, tap R2, like a pretty standard FPS thing. I don't know if that'll work so well on Steam Deck, so I may play around with those controls later. Burst fire, if I hold the button. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is right. 4 shots. 5. I think it's 4. Okay. 1. So that was a cool like sword slash, right? But if I go 1, 2, 3, he does a little combo. I don't like the third one there. And if you can imagine the invisible hitbox goes on around the time you'd expect. It's not perfect. It doesn't feel perfect. 1, 2. Oh, I missed it. 1, 2, 3. But as I turn, the hitbox moves to the other side of this character, so I can, do that. And the shield works the same way, right? The box is moving when I flip direction. I can do stuff like this. It's pretty cool. It feels cool. I think it looks cool, particularly this pose. Oh, hold on. You can see the levels. It's just images right now. I didn't really do anything. I have all ideas, like there's lots of ships battling in the background. It's with that orange and gray is going to be, right? A ship and an explosion. So lots of that kind of stuff happening. You can see the particle effect. The more speed I pick up, the longer the trail grows. You can probably see it better now, right? If I go back this way. There's some kind of bug where it's like the gravity, it's like it's windy. I have no idea where that's coming from yet. I think I could fix it just by manipulating the particle effect, the code. Oh, here, this is important. So the bullets aren't exactly lined up yet, just because I didn't do that like precision work, right? So you can see it's like it fires like above the gun there. But that's, you know, easily fixable. I just need to adjust that. See what else. We showed this. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this. What I really want to add, I feel like it needs, especially after I added a bunch of enemies, is if I hold circle, I want to be able to like speed boost for a second. Right? I would also really like to figure out just kind of like a background flight noise. And, you know, volume and pitch varies depending on what I'm doing with the thing. Right? I think that would add quite a bit. This that we already talked about was one of the important things for me to figure out for the RPG, right? I really want to be able to do that in there. I'm going to have the same kind of 3-hit sword/slash combo. That's the idea. Maybe a gun too, but not yet. Well, I guess other than that, so just like the enemy drones, the player can take damage in the same exact way. And something I didn't mention previously, they're in the knockback. It knows the direction of the damage, so I can, you know, push him this way or that way, depending on which way the projectile or the attack came from. So let's see what else. I think that's it for now. Let's go take a look at something else. So, if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe and whatever other YouTube things there are, because the more people that watch these videos, more videos and more games I'm going to be able to make. And that's all I could ever really want, to make cool videos for you. So, please. Thank you. Let's take a look at the knockback effect. So, the knockback damage is proportional to the actual damage. So, if I shoot him, he takes 10 damage. Let's say he gets 5 knockback damage. And you see if I hit him this way, he knocks back way more. If I do it this way, he goes that way. And then he dies. And that's it. What's really funny is when you create a whole bunch of them together and you start crashing into each other. Which is great. I want to keep that in. Why don't we set up a new enemy arrangement, see what it looks like when it's a total mess. Okay, I moved these guys around, so why don't we see how this looks now. Let's see. Chaos happens. These are the passive drones, so they're not shooting back right now. I think there is some condition where they start shooting back. And they're dead. That's the first time I think I saw 2 overlap right there. That's the first time I saw that. It's not supposed to be able to happen. I'm mostly using Godot physics built in. But I'm not for everything, so it's still not great. Right? So as I work on it more, I develop it more. I'll make it use the whole physics system more properly. But for now, there might be some weird things like that until we fix that. This time, let's set all the enemies to aggressive. I'm not even going to do anything. And we're just going to watch it play out because I think it's going to be super funny. And I'm going to keep this in because chaotic, wacky enemy behavior is awesome. Who will survive first? I think my character is going to die before they all blow up. I want to make it so when they explode, the explosion does damage too. That's not in here. Oh, I died. As you can see, it works, but it doesn't know where to put the camera when the character dies. Still, that was funny. So before we take one last look at the game in action, let's just go over here the stuff in the HUD. So HP, that'll pull from a global script that gets set by the player node when the player takes damage. 4 drones remain is just counting the children in the enemy placement node. So for every time I add, another drone in there, it just increases. And then when they get killed, it takes it off. And, you know, they're not always going to be drones, right? Like I said, I want it to be mechs and stuff, so probably won't always say drones there. Energy, 255. Right now, that is just static, but what I want to do is make an equivalent of like a stamina meter that you would find in, say, Dark Souls. And that would, you know, use maybe when you do your speed boost, beam rifle, beam sword, right? All these things would use energy. And if you run out of energy, then you can't do anything for a minute, which I think would make the gameplay better. For now, let's just check out the game, one last look, and then I'll get to work on the RPG. Let's go.